Hello, and welcome to the Real-Esteem podcast. Today is February the 9th, 2018. I'm your host, Patrick Tabor, and today on the Parenting Edition, we're going to talk about 3 keys to effective parenting. You know, one of the most difficult jobs I have ever had is not the one I'm currently working at. It's not my marriage. It's not even the things that I do at church. It's raising my kids. It has really been an interesting experience to try to figure out how to raise my children, because all 3 of them are different, and you have to modify your teaching style for each person because they're different person, different personality, different ways to understand problems, solutions, different ideas, different understanding of circumstances and situations. So as a parent, you have to learn how to adjust. So there's 3 keys to effective parenting that I think goes across the board for training and helping each child, regardless of their learning style or their mannerisms or their behaviors. This should work for all of them. Now, you just have to listen very carefully, because there's one point I'm going to make at the end that will clarify each of the points and make you see that they'll be valuable in your raising of your children. Deuteronomy 11:19, it says, "You shall teach them to your children," talking about the law, talking to them when you are sitting in your house, and when you are walking by the way, and when you lie down, when you rise, and when you rise. So he's talking about not only the law, but talking about the word of God, teaching children about God, teaching them what it means to serve God, teaching them how to follow God, how to listen to God, actually doing what God says, as opposed to just being a hearer of the word. You know, we've got to be able to teach. Whether you know it or not, your life is a teaching moment. Every opportunity you have with your children, it is a teaching moment, and you should take advantage of it. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not saying you're going to remember every teaching moment as they come, but I am saying take every opportunity that you recognize to teach your kids something, whether you do it through fun, whether you do it through example, or whether you do it verbally. Take time out to teach your children. God says, teach them all of this as much as you possibly can, because they're going to need that ammunition to fight in this world, to live in this world, to conduct themselves appropriately in this world. If they do not have those tools, you are not preparing them for the world that they're facing. Second thing, so that was teaching. Number 1 was teaching. Number 2 is discipline. Hebrews 12:10 says, "For they disciplined us for a short time as it seemed best to them, but he disciplines us for our good, that we may share his holiness." So God gives us an example. He disciplines us as parents, as just individuals. So, we can take that model to discipline our kids. I know what the word says, and you may have your own opinions. It does say, don't spare the rod because it won't kill them. There's all kinds of different approaches you can have with discipline. Just make sure you do it. Whether it's, putting a child in the corner, or putting them in a timeout, or putting their nose on the wall in a little circle like they used to do for us at school, or if it's a slight paddling, whatever it is that you deem necessary for that particular child, because every child's different. Just make sure you use a form of discipline appropriate for that child, and you use it to modify behavior to get them to understand that when the world comes at them, when they're living out in the real world, there's going to be consequences for the actions that they have. That's really what you're trying to do. You're trying to teach them through discipline that the world is not going to love them as much as you, and they need to be prepared to act appropriately in different situations so they can handle what's coming. So discipline is just to help someone become orderly, mannerly, to understand how they should conduct themselves. It's necessary. So if you don't do it, you may have you really may end up with a mess on your hand, and you're going to be fighting an uphill battle trying to train an older child how to respect and understand and be disciplined and honor those in position, whatever the circumstance is. You want them to be disciplined So they need to be disciplined when they're young so that it's easier for them to be disciplined or to handle discipline or understand discipline in their future. The third thing and the last thing you got to have as a parent for effective parenting, you have to, I'm going to repeat this several times just so you get it. You have to be patient. Patient is mandatory. It is a requirement to be a parent because you are going to have so many circumstances that will drive you up the wall. And if you are not patient, it'll be hard for you to see the end of each one of those situations that occurs. You'll always be rushing and freaking out and frustrated and probably saying stuff that you shouldn't say or reacting in a manner that's not appropriate. If you allow yourself not to be patient, you are liable to do something out of character. Matthew 6:34 says, "Therefore do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble." Don't fret, don't worry, don't stress. Be patient. Wait it out. Do your part, do the work that you need to do, but don't allow yourself to get stuck in impatience to where you're making rash, harsh, quick, rush decisions in anger or frustration or out of fear. It does not work. Being patient is the best option. Understanding what the timing is and how to handle situations in a patient manner, it's going to give you the best results. Now, I know I said that there was 3 things to effective parenting, but I will say this. There is one item that you have to enact all of these correctly. So we talked about number 1, teaching, number 2, discipline, number 3, patience. The 4th thing that you actually have to have and I left it for the end because it has to be inclusive in all 3. You have to have love. When you're teaching a child, if you do not love that child, if you do not give that child the love and respect that you should, then you're not going to teach them effectively. You're going to be teaching them. Have you ever tried to just do something and you really don't want to do it? You're just doing it because you know you have to. That's what it's like when you try to teach a child and you don't really show love to them, or you're not loving them when you're doing it. You're just doing it because you're supposed to do it. It doesn't work. If you don't have love in what you're doing when you're trying to teach them, it won't work. If you don't have love involved in discipline, when you're trying to straighten their attitude out or get them to understand a point or to get them to realize that there's consequences for, negative or certain reactions or actions. Without love, discipline doesn't work well either. And lastly, patience should be a direct result of the love that you have. You have to have love to be patient. It means that you're not going to allow yourself to get out of control. You're going to wait and analyze or work through whatever the circumstance is so that you can come up with the best answer. And you're doing it out of love. So remember, these 3 keys are effective for parenting, but also do not forget that they all require love. I hope you got something out of this today. Be blessed. Grace and peace.